Hello and welcome to Mirror Music. In episode 33, we discuss Burt Bacharach's Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head and The Rain, Supa Dupa Fly by Missy Elliott. Two songs with rain in the title that mostly aren't about rain at all. We discuss how Mr. Bacharach has penetrated the popular consciousness, even if you don't know his name, and how simple-sounding songs actually can be musically complex. We also talk about songs that stick in our minds and great voices and great music videos, and why one of us doesn't even consider Missy Elliott to be a rapper. This episode is dedicated, finally, to the memory of Burt Bacharach, who passed away February 8th, 2023, at the age of 94, and who was one of the great composers and songwriters of the 20th century. Rest in peace, sir, and thanks for the music. And now, on with the show. All right, man, what's happening?
What is going on, man? Good Sunday to you.
Rainy day, which is appropriate for what we're talking about, I guess, right?
Oh, it's raining up there too, yeah, because it's raining down here too.
Yes. This is snow rain. Like if it was 10 degrees colder, it would be 1.5 feet of snow instead of misty rain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 38 to 40 degrees right now.
That's about the same here. Yeah.
So, the rain, where we want to start? Which rain are we talking?
Well, today we're doing Missy Elliott's The Rain, the Supa Dupa Fly song, and in memory of Burt Bacharach, the Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, which is a very different kind of song, actually, than we normally cover from my side. But it's but in memory of Burt Bacharach, who was one of the great
songwriters
of the 20th century, too. So two songs about rain that are not really about rain much at all. So, but they're both titled that. So,
right.
So where do you want to start with that?
I kind of want to start with Burt. Actually.
Okay, cool.
I did. I'm like you. It's really hard to classify this song as like kind of like a I guess like a modern day song. How would you classify it? Like it's kind of like, it almost seems like it's not elevator music, but it's like something that you would play like in between sets at the orchestra, the symphony almost.
Yeah, I mean, people do call it elevator music. That's not an insult. I mean, it's cool elevator music, but it is in that genre milieu, so to speak. Burt Bacharach and Hal David is like his writing partner, right? So the two of them wrote basically all the songs that he's famous for together. And Mr. Bacharach also did concerts, like he played piano and he like sang them at the concerts, but he was not the songs that he is famous for. He is not famous for singing them. He's famous for composing them. Like, so this is the first song that we've covered from the white side of the world, so to speak, that is not from really the country blues folk rock tradition at all. This is more from the Sinatra, Barry Manilow, jazz, big band kind of world. It's that kind of song instead of, or the kind of song you would hear maybe in movies or in Broadway shows and that kind of thing. It's that kind of show. This song, actually, I did not know, became famous from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. It was played in that movie.
Okay.
So that's where it not comes from originally, but like where it became famous in the larger world.
Right.
So I learned a lot about Mr. Bacharach too, as I was researching him, because this is not, I mean, the songs, when I name off some of the songs that he composed, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know you will, but like the people listening to will be like, oh yeah, I know those songs. But he's not one of those things. And I feel weird calling him anything other than Mr. But I mean, he died, he was 94 when he passed away last week. So we're recording this on February 12th and he passed away on the 8th. So he had a long career of composing, for sure. And I just wanted to do something to honor him, because the songs are everywhere. Like when you hear which ones that he's done, you'll be like, oh yeah, like I know that. Sure.
No, it's he's a composer and an arranger, I think, from another time, for another era. I think the Sinatra and Manilow comparisons were great, and that's why I don't like calling it elevator music, quite frankly,
Right.
because it's really more. I think I like your phraseology of the big band
Yeah. It comes from
because
that world.
yeah, he comes from that world. I mean, I mean Quincy Jones, who most notably known for Off the Wall and Thriller, comes from that world too.
Yep.
You know,
Like
Poser and
you can take some of these melodies that you hear in Burt Bacharach songs and put a little funk bass line on it, and you have Stevie Wonder. Like you have that kind of melody. That kind
correct.
of Stevie Wonder takes that rock blues funk stuff and melds it with this kind of song, and you have My Cherie Amour, and you have Sir Duke, and you
Yeah,
have those kind of songs come from this kind of world too.
yes. I think that's an excellent way of putting it. You know what? You want to know what's great about both of these records? Because they're using, music works when it's something everybody understands.
Hmm.
Well, the themes of these songs, and this is what I mean when a lot of the time when I talk about, albums like Illmatic, I talk about the timeless themes.
Hmm.
Rain, Andrew, always, you know what I mean, resonates with people for some reason. Like
Yeah.
people, us, we always have a feeling about rain. Do you ever notice that?
Mm.
Like some of us love it, some of us hate it.
Yeah.
Think about in the form of rain that you were talking about was happening. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. If it was 10 degrees colder, it'd be some snow rain. But
Hmm.
instead, misty rain.
Yeah.
Like we attach a certain level of emotion to rain on various levels more than I think any other climate change.
Yeah, my wife went to college in Seattle, so she's used to like walking in it, and she just walks in it like it's nothing, like there's nothing there. And I'm not. I mean, I love it as a not as a farmer, but like as somebody who likes gardening and growing things. Like I know it's important, but like she and both of them, my little younger daughters, love playing in the rain. Like, I mean, it's 35 or not 35, it's like 38 degrees outside, and they don't do it today. But if it was like 65 degrees in rain, they would all be out there playing in it. Like, so, and that's not really my thing. But yeah, but you're right that we all have
Yeah.
our our things, right?
Not my thing either, but for me, when it rains as a writer, I'm always more inspired to write. I'll tell you what, I actually my dog Woody, my Yorkie, Woody
Mhm.
got me up running at like 6 o'clock. He had to use the bathroom. He's older now. He's
Yeah.
11.
Okay.
So he just works on a time schedule. So sometimes he wakes up like, hey, dude, gotta go. Let's bust
Yeah.
a move. And it's like, oh, okay. So, I
Here
got
we
up
go.
and I went to the bathroom. And so, quite frankly, I'm sitting in the chair after letting him out. And a rhyme came to me.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's like, it must still be raining outside. I was like, because it's like 6:30 in the morning. And I'm sitting up here thinking of, like rhymes and music and stuff. And it's just coming in my head. So I'm sitting up there on my phone, just like typing it down. And it's coming in pieces and fragments like it often
Sure.
does. I'm like, this is great. Like the dog got me up. It's raining. Now my creative mind is just kind of like
Right.
turning. That's what the rain does to me.
Hmm. That's really cool. No, and rain is usually used like in poetry and in like historically
Mhm.
speaking, used as a metaphor for darkness and depression and sadness, and like it's because it's mirroring like tears coming from your eyes. I mean, that's the metaphor that's usually used in popular, not popular, like in poetry, like from the 1600s, 1700 day, like a long time ago. You get that as a metaphor for sadness or darkness or whatever, and one of my favorite parts about this and one of the interesting twists for both of these songs actually is that neither of them are dark songs. They're both happy and uplifting songs. So it's an interesting. They're both using rain, but they're using it differently than you would normally see it being used.
Well, let's compare some things. So let's take somebody from that. Well, actually, I think he's a little younger than that. But let's take somebody poetry and poet laureate wise, like a Edgar Allan Poe,
Okay.
and let's contextualize how he writes and puts rain into his deep and dark,
Right.
depressing writing style and format. Because when you spoke of rain and depression, he's the first writer that I
Yeah.
thought of.
A lot of the romantic writers, the ones like mid 1800s, are doing that.
Correct. I think they're playing off that classical style
Hmm.
from that time period before that
Yeah.
medieval time frame that you're
Yeah.
speaking of. But the way that he contextualizes rain in his writing is always attaching it to the dreariness or the sadness or the somberness or the lack of love that's in his life or in the character's life.
Mm-hmm.
Here, the life is kind of being lived through the rain. It's almost like, well, the raindrops keep falling on my head, but it kind of feels
fine.
good. But it kind of feels like he's almost saying it as if like it feels good when it's falling on my head, though. Like nothing's wrong with it. This is actually like a good time. I'm looking at the rain the way I look at the sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
And so
my eyes will soon be turning red, right? And that's like I'm not crying over this. This is fine. Like it's just something that's happening external to me.
I think something about that is very Americanized too.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I thought too. Yeah, it's a very happy, in control of your destiny, Jiminy Cricket, to give a little whistle kind of.
I was thinking a little deeper, like historical context, like Theodore Roosevelt, progressive movement. We can do anything, like we can't be stopped. I might be a little man, but I carry a big stick, like all that stuff. Yeah, all that.
There's some of that too. Like this can't, like not even nature can stop me. Like it's not like rain. It's interesting. Now I'm thinking about it. It's not because he doesn't use. He's not saying rain like pouring rain. It's like raindrops. So it's like drip, 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 drip. Right. It's not. They're individual pieces, and I guess somehow they feel more manageable. Maybe I don't know. Than like a whole sheet of rain coming down at once. I don't know. I'm BSing now, but like I'm just thinking through it out loud. This is one of the notes that I wrote down actually is that I know less about both of these songs, especially Burt Bacharach. Like I knew very little about his personal history. I knew some of the songs, but so this is more of a reaction style video, I guess, like where I am reacting to what I hear in it, and not like I'm not here giving you context for like how he wrote the whatever, like because I don't know that in the same kind of way.
I think because of the time that he wrote this and the style that he wrote this, I think the closest thing comparatively, you've already connected some of the themes, which is the Sinatra Manilow thing, but also how if you were to like put a funky drum behind this, you would have something that Stevie did in his 60s and 70s run. Yep. Like, I think a lot of time people miss like, and I like that you said My Cherie Amour, because it's like, well, the melody to My Cherie Amour feels more like classical music in terms of how it is composed and arranged now, doesn't it? As opposed to something like Superstitious.
Yeah, that's more funky.
Right. It's more
based funky on that guitar piano line. Yeah.
Right. It's more traditional black soul.
Yeah.
My Cherie Amour.
It's much closer to actually the other song that we're going to cover. It's that kind of.
Right. That's more traditional black soul. My Cherie Amour is more like you could play My Cherie Amour with a 70-piece band.
Yep.
And it would sound actually probably more immaculate because of it, because the musicality of it and the way that it's being arranged falls more in line with band and orchestra music than maybe a traditional song.
Exactly.
And so that's why it's hard to contextualize a song, because this song, quite frankly, isn't made for radio like the stuff we're grown up to listen to. It's not necessarily made for an album. It's made for you to like go hear it in the context of a full band or like one of those Sinatra performances, one knee on stool, cigarette in hand.
Yeah.
And it's all of those things. And quite frankly, it just comes from an era that even precedes us. It precedes our parents damn near.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But this song was written, or the first release of it was 1969, wow. which means that the song is released the same year as Abbey Road, which has Come Together and Something in the Way She Moves, and those songs, the Beatles album. It comes out the same year as Let It Bleed, the Rolling Stones album, which is You Can't Always Get What You Want's album. It comes out the same year as the last song we did, or one of the last songs we did, and Led Zeppelin, A Whole Lot of Love, Led Zeppelin 2 came out the same year as this too. Oh. So all of those are contemporaneous songs with this song, which is an interesting way to think about it too.
I find it very hard to believe that this song wasn't being written and performed prior to that. If that makes sense?
Yeah.
Like they have just been like put out for consumption in 1969, but the arrangement and the composition of this it feels more
it does feel older. Yeah. It feels it was written. I mean, you write things in the style of, right? Like Um, like you've talked about on According to Hip Hop, Nas writing Magic in the style of Illmatic from, however many years prior, like almost 30 years prior. Not quite, but so you're writing something in the style of, I think somebody get in the comments and correct me, but like the research that I did says that he wrote it in or around 1969. So he's writing, but he's definitely writing something in the style of
Mhm.
the prior kind of music for sure. Like pre Elvis, we would think, or pre Little Richard, pre Chuck Berry, pre that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes, that's exactly how it feels. But maybe that was part of the intent.
Yeah, I think so. He may have, I didn't read enough about it to know for sure, but he may have written it for the movie too.
That's
And so that I don't think it was written as a song to be put on the radio alongside You Can't Always Get What You Want and alongside the Beatles and alongside Led Zeppelin. And I don't think it was, I mean, they didn't really play Zeppelin on the radio like that anyway, but like, at least not in 1969. But it was a different audience, right? I mean, it was for the, like, this is the kind of song my grandmother would listen to, right?
right. Right.
So, and the kind of thing that she had on playing, like, and my mom still, I mean, she was born in early 50s, so she would have been a teenager when all of the rise of the Beatles and the rise of, I mean, all of that stuff,
Right.
in the mid late 60s, and she listens to all of that. I mean, the stuff that I listened to with her, like in her car growing up, was Motown stuff. Was the Beatles stuff, was like the stuff that you would play on the radio, but the stuff that would have been on the radio in the late 60s.
Mhm.
And but she would walk around singing the song too, like the raindrops keep falling on my head.
I was like,
Like that is the only line of the whole song that I know. I can go da, 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 da,
it
da, da.
feels it
But
feels like kind of like that Beach Boys type of
yeah,
style and
that they
sound.
that comes from that too. That beach sound is a descendant of this for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, and he has other songs that sound more Beach Boy ish too, for sure. Um, the I mean, the songs that you would know or that people listening to this would know that he wrote, Walk On By, like the Dionne Warwick song, Walk On By, right? That's a Burt Bacharach song. Aretha, Say a Little Prayer for You, Forever and Ever You'll Be in My, or that's a Burt Bacharach song.
Mhm.
The My favorite of them is The Carpenters' Close to You. That was one of the greatest cheese pop yacht rock songs in that's ever been done. The Why Do Birds Suddenly Appear Every Time You Are Near, right? That
Yep.
that is we'll have to do another episode about that because I have a lot to say about the Carpenters. That was one of those, she has one of those voices that just like grabs my heart. I don't know why. It's just there's something about it.
Some artists
Snoop,
grip your voices.
yeah. What's New Pussycat? That song is Burt Bacharach too. Like, I mean, so there are lots of songs that even if you didn't know his name, you probably would recognize.
Yeah, you've sung some of his songs before. You just probably weren't privy to the fact
Yeah.
that you sung some of his songs before. You know, that there is some like, you know, he is a writer. Like there are some lyrics like on Raindrops that it's like, you know, when he says, "So I did just some talking to the sun, and I said I don't like the way he got things done."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so there's some depth there. You know,
Yeah. It's not just a little cheesy little song.
right? It's not just cheesy. You know what I mean? Like I think for his time and for his style of writing per se, it probably doesn't get taken as seriously as it
No.
should be on
Right.
elevator music. But it's like, no, if you're actually listening to the words, he's like, you know, he's like, that doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. Crying's not for me because I'm not going to stop the rain complaining because I'm free. Nothing's worrying me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's just real stuff, right? I
No,
mean,
that's real stuff. It's like he's telling you, he's like, I'm making a choice to not let this bring me down. Like I can't be stopped. It's actually kind of inspirational from that
yeah,
regard.
exactly. Exactly.
And it's meant to make you feel good. And I think sometimes people forget that music is supposed to make you feel different things.
Mhm.
But positive things too.
Yeah,
I,
it's not. It
well,
doesn't have to be dark and sad and depressing, right?
well, the happy stuff doesn't always have to be a party either, is
Right.
what I'm saying. It's like, too much. I feel like too much music that people say is happy. It's like, well, it's really not happy. It's just party music, you
Yeah,
know?
it's dancing music. Yeah.
Dancing music is, but this is just meant to make you feel good while you're riding or listening to it,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, I wrote that down. Like, I hadn't heard the song. Like, obviously, when I saw that he had written this, because when he passed, they put out lists of, here's the 12 best songs he wrote or whatever. And I was like, oh, I know that song. And some of the others I've named too. And then I listened to it, and now I've been singing that melody in my head for like the last 3 or 4 days now. So it's not right, right. It sticks. It
It's
sticks.
infectious. It's infectious.
And that's the thing. Like when you compare this song to a lot of the Burt Bacharach songs, the ones I listed out, one of the things that's different about him is that, I mean, I didn't grow up listening to big band kind of music really, but this is one of those songs that, like, a lot of those songs don't stick in my head. Like I hear them and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Yes, it's good. Like I respect the craft, etc. But they don't stick like this one does. And you can walk around singing "Say a Little Prayer for You Forever and Ever, You'll Be in My Heart." Like you can walk around singing that for multiple days. Yeah, exactly. See, I just say those words, and like you and the people
Yeah,
listening to the video, they will be walking around singing that song, right?
the
And
melody,
on by, right?
the
Yeah.
melody, the
And and
melody.
that, and so the melodies that he writes are stickier, I think, to me anyway. Like they stick in my head more,
No,
which is different than a lot of those kind of songs.
that's that classical composing and arranging. The music sounds different when it's made that way. So it's like that's what I mean. Is it's like, well, that's not like the music that we cover isn't real music, but that's at the real core of music right there, the melody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, as a writer, he's concerned with giving you a melody
Mm-hmm.
that you belong to. So he would be like, in rapper terms, he would be Drake today.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Yeah.
So he would be big. Like he actually might be like a little ahead of his time because it's like that simple, stupid melodic theory. Oh, that hits real big now.
Yeah, I put that he was like McCartney too. Like McCartney got a lot of those accusations as well of being. He even wrote a song in his solo career called "Silly Love Songs" because he said, everybody just accuses me of writing silly love songs, so here's a silly love song, and he called it "Silly Love." Like he did that, but his sense of melody, again, we've talked about that before, is one of the very best that's ever been. So he has the same kind of thing too.
Yeah, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing going on. I'm glad that you kind of said that because I was kind of afraid too, because it's like that's kind of venturing into different waters for me to make that kind of analysis. But melodically speaking, it's like when you're saying it coming around the same time as Abbey Road and the Beatles, I'm like, well, who's to say he wasn't doing this melodic and tune wise to combat that, as in like an American composer and songwriter.
Yeah, he's and people who like the Beatles like them often because of the melodies and the harmonies, right? I mean, that's the one of the foundational pieces of them, and so this is using those things too.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like I've told you. It's like for me, the Rolling Stones is more of what I listen to regularly,
Right.
as in like in my like I ride around to that. The Beatles aren't necessarily my thing, but I have an appreciation for music and for good songwriting. Melodies, and it's like, oh, well, they check all those boxes in spades. So when people talk about like how good and how big they are, even though I prefer the Stones, I can totally see what you're talking about. Like it's right there in plain view for me to see. And so it's not complicated or complex. And that's what I mean when I'm saying it's in plain view to see. It's like, oh no. These melodies, these hooks, the way they're harmonizing, it's like, oh no, I get it. I totally get it.
Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head has like what, 3 hooks in it? 4? Like, I mean, different like melody lines that stick, right? So it's, and one of the things I wanted to say too, though, at the same time, and I knew we were going to talk about the simple melodies and the simple stupid and the simple, like, it's those kind of things because they stick in your brain. But when you actually get down into these songs, both this one and like Close to You and some of the others that he's written, they're remarkably hard to sing and to play. Like if you're going, I mean, you can sing "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head." That part's not hard to sing, but the parts that come after that are not.
Like his vocal inflection's changing.
Yeah, but the intervals that he's using are different too. And you know what intervals are? Like the space between the notes. Like
okay, no, yes,
like
yes.
he's coming from like the jazz world, which not to be, I don't want to get like too deep into this because it's not the point of the show, but like the notes in a jazz chord tend to be, I mean, notes in jazz chords are not normal. I don't say normal, but like the normal ones you play on the guitar, they're different. They use different patterns and stuff, right? So he's playing with those an interval is like a space between notes. So the note where when you're singing a line, you're used to going to a certain place between notes, right? Like because they're more traditional intervals between notes, and the ones that he's using are not normal, or not the ones you would normally see in songs. And I don't know if I said that very clearly, but it's the point that I want to make though is that buried in these silly love songs and these silly inspirational songs, or the silly sounding songs, they're actually really complex, and they are remarkably difficult to sing, like the whole thing through.
He's very much singing the way a rapper raps.
Explain.
So those intervals you're talking about where it's changing, that's what we would call in rap where he's flipping his words.
Okay.
Or he's changing the cadence of it to make it work. Biggie's notoriously great for that.
Okay.
For it's supposed to sound like this, but the way he flipped it, it's like, oh no, he just changed his whole. Okay, so you know when I'm talking on a chord in hip hop, and I'm like, man, like you know, Biggie has songs where his flow changes like 3 or 4 times within a verse.
Right.
This is that.
Yeah.
And stylistically, what he's doing, but and I say this in hip hop terms. Well, the melody on this is a little bit faster too. And so it's forcing certain things out of him. And I don't say this to disrespect other genres of music. People don't understand how hard it is to write a rhyme because of how fast the melodies are moving. And so this is like very, very skillful because it's like, well, this guy's playing this and singing this at the same time, which is an extremely, extremely hard thing to do. Like somebody playing this and being able to keep up vocally with what he's doing that's classically trained would be difficult for just the pianist. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so the fact that he like is able to do those intervals the way you're talking, like I just call it switching your flow, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. It's like no. He didn't approach that meter and measure the way this one goes. Like this went like that went like and then this one went like yeah. And so I understand that part of it, but that's kind of what I mean about, well, that's because the melody is faster. And I'm glad you made like the jazz relationship to it, is because, well, much like jazz, this really wasn't built to play on a radio station. Right. It was meant to be live. Well, that's where you get all your funky shit and all your live shit. That's what brings people into like jazz clubs. And so there's a little bit of everything to this, but I feel like the pace of the melody is kind of like helping him because it's challenging him, if that makes sense. To do more with his voice, to come up with something different, to kind of switch it up so that he's just not on my head. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's kind of got to make it funky and bounce around on those intervals that you're speaking of a little bit. It makes the song work.
And the pitch goes up and down to interesting places and different places too.
That's what, I'm sorry, not to cut you off. That's what I noticed the most was vocally, inflection wise, what he was doing with ease, like through the transitions. I think the vocalist part of it is the most impressive part because
it's not. I've thought about singing some of it, and I sang a little tiny bit of it, but it's not an easy song to sing at all. No. And that's one of those really cool things, and you see that in a lot of Burt Bacharach songs, which is why the famous versions of a lot of them are by Tom Jones and Aretha Franklin and Dionne Warwick and the people who have incredible vocal skill, because they're the ones that can do it, right?
Well, listen to the people that you just named too. Those are all people that could sing like opera, orchestra music.
Exactly. Right. And you have to have serious chops to be able to do this.
Yeah, like
you have to be able to hear the melody and match pitch in your head, like to match the notes in your head. Like you have got to be able to, I don't know, it's hard to explain,
Like those aren't just like great voices; those are great classically trained voices.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could go do other genres of
I
music.
mean, I've seen Aretha do opera before. You can look it up on YouTube. Aretha singing as Nessun Dorma. I don't remember what she was singing, um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, clearly, Aretha Franklin could sing anything she wanted to,
I mean,
but and so could Dionne Warwick, and I mean, like all of them could. So
I still think Aretha's voices. I mean, like prior to Whitney, I probably think most people considered her to have the greatest
yeah,
voice prior to Whitney.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and she's one of those people that, like, if you still wanted to argue she had the greatest of women's voices of all time, that's you could prefer Whitney, but like it's hard to. I mean, it's not hard to argue against Aretha, but like it's certainly a reasonable take to have that.
No, if you said Aretha was vocally better than Whitney, I wouldn't agree with you, but you would have legs to stand on, but
Right.
you'd be one of two people with legs to stand on.
Yeah. It's a very, very short list. Yeah.
Extremely short.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And we're talking about all voices, period, not just women's voices. Just
yeah, I mean, just period. Yeah, no, period. You can throw the dudes in there. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean,
you put Stevie Wonder in there, but that's just not. Yeah,
I mean,
not a whole lot of others.
I don't think there's a guy with a better voice than Whitney or Aretha. If you really want to know,
I don't think so either.
Nope, not one guy living or dead that I can even think of. Like Stevie, for me, I love Stevie. Like Stevie's not in there, like not vocally.
Stevie does the thing with songs though, where he the pitches that he's going to between the notes, the notes that he sings are very much in the Burt Bacharach kind of way, like the way they're organized.
It's very unique, but it's just like like when Stevie hits his notes and strides on the note and carries it. It's not like it's not beautiful, but Aretha and Whitney,
Aretha's something else. That's a whole
that's
different.
what I mean. It's different. Like they'll make you shake. Like when they do it, it's like, oh, like what? Like, oh my God. Like, you know what I mean? The beauty of it will like make you feel something like, oh my goodness, like this woman right here can sing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then there are other people like Denise Williams, Minnie Riperton, that never really get their due, like 5-octave type shatter glass voices, you know? So
they can move things like here, and that's not to. I mean, that's one of the things that Glove talked about too, about like vibrations of songs. Like, I mean, like that's what music does. Like it changes something inside you. Like the vibrations of the songs, and that could be like somebody singing, it could be the bass line, it could be the drums, it could be the guitar or whatever. But like there's something where the vibration like touches your not heart. That seems cheesy, but like it touches like a part of you that not many other things can get to. Even with a silly love song or like well, it's not a love song, but a silly song like Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
You know, we spend a lot of time here doing a lot of breakdown and analysis of the things that are tangible. But, you know, it's ironic that we do that because music is so intangible. Like literally, there are different chords from different instruments that literally evoke and touch different parts of the inside of you, and it's really not explainable by anything.
Right.
You're talking about
it's sort of what we're trying to do, but like you can't really put words to it. That's I mean, I guess I'm a teacher and I'm a writer, so that's like my like raison d'etre. I can't say French, but like it's my reason for being. Like I try to explain things to people. Like that's like a compulsion almost for me. But like and that's what we do on the podcast, but it's also what we do and do I do in my not my real life, but like in my life outside of this screen, like try to take emotional experiences and convey them so other people can understand how it does what it does to me, right? So maybe you could have some version of that experience too.
No, I'm the same way. Even like a lot of the posts that I do on social media come from that place of trying to explain and provide an understanding that others may not be looking at necessarily per se. I don't get the opportunity to mold young minds every day and every year like you. So, but with some of the same ethos for me too, Andrew. Like in terms of that, wanting to explain it. But and this is what I mean. There's also that part of it's like, well, this shit just sounds good.
It does. It does. And sometimes it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Now,
Yeah.
I wanted to, and the reason we do this podcast, obviously, is to like pull back the veil a little bit so people can see the all the complicated under things that are underpinning it. But for a song like this, particularly, and for Missy's song too, like you don't have to understand any of this shit to have it feel something in your chest, right? So maybe I mean the goal is to help you appreciate it on a deeper level, not you, but like the viewer to appreciate it on a deeper level. But also to say like you don't have to understand any of this to like have it do the thing in your chest.
No, you're right. That's what I mean. It's like, you know, it is kind of comparable to what music makes you feel. It's kind of like, you know, how like when you watch sports and you see somebody get injured, but you can never know how it feels.
Right.
Well, music actually provides you like the inverse of that. It's like, no. It's going to do the opposite. It's like you're going to know exactly where that person was coming from more often than not, because that's the goal of it, is to make you feel it. So like when you're talking about pulling on the strings of your heart, no, it's like that's what it's there for. And so it just pulls on certain people differently. Like I'll tell you one thing that I've learned from doing the podcast with Mike all these years. Because of our discourse and how he talks about the music that he loves, now when I hear music, like when I hear some rap stuff, I'll be like, oh, Mike would love this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I know clearly where he's coming from now from work with him and listening to his musical palette all these years. Like I was like Give Up the Goods came on by Mobb Deep last night. And I was like, this is probably Mike's favorite song off the Infamous, because it's got those Q-tip drums that he liked, and you can tell it's Q-tip drums. It's like, oh, no, that sounds like something that would have been on Midnight Marauders. Mike loves this beat, you know? And I know that because it's like that beat makes him feel something, okay? Now, for me, Prodigy on that song lyrically makes me feel something. And so that's kind of where it's like, no, but for different reasons, we meet together at that one song, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I guess we're showing each other and the wider audience our hooks, right? Like these are the places that this song touches me. And I mean, and the reason obviously we compare the two is because here are two songs that are about the same thing, or there are in some ways similar. And there are people coming from different worlds that are trying to explain the same kind of experience. And so this is how I hook into this one. This is how you hook into this one. This is, so we're giving the people like places or things they can look for, right? Things they can to maybe find that vibration as well.
Right.
Like I'm going to be real about this. Like I didn't think that I or we would have enough to talk about with Burt Bacharach. Like I didn't think that I would be able to make it half of the show was about him, but it's an interesting thing to dig into that is coming at a similar idea as a lot of the people we've talked about, but coming at it from a different like musical palette, so to speak.
He evokes a musical conversation out of us because he's a great musician and songwriter.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with great musicians and songwriters, even if they're unbeknownst to us, or even if we have very little knowledge of them, well, when you're great, people can find a way to talk about you. And he's been great
for a long time.
Right. I mean, we probably actually could have spent 30 minutes talking about his contributions to other people's catalogs as a songwriter.
To Aretha's, to to the Carpenters. I mean, because the ones that I named are not the only songs that he wrote, clearly, but like, I just want to say some of the ones that the listeners would be more familiar with.
Right. Too. So, kind of funny that you're bringing this up. You know, around the same time, "The Rain" is by Missy Elliott. Comes from a song that was released. Let me try to get the actual year that it came.
I think it's I just looked it up too. I think it was 1973.
1973. So
about the same.
A lot of people don't know who Ann Peebles is. She's one of those people that give Memphis probably the richest soul and blues funk tradition in this entire nation. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's a Memphis soul singer. Okay. Now keep in mind, and this is what I mean about the contextualization of it. She's from Memphis. Mm-hmm. Missy and Taylor are from Virginia.
Right. Also, while we're here, Bacharach wrote lots of songs for Dusty Springfield too, who was, she's a white lady, but she's like the blue-eyed soul lady, really.
Oh, the blue eye.
The song "Son of a Preacher Man." It's not a
Yeah.
Burt Bacharach song, but that's Dusty Springfield.
Okay.
So that's another one. She was a Memphis person too, I think. So like it's kind of or in my head she is anyway. So that's another one of the crossover pieces
Right.
too. Sorry, you were on Virginia and Missy and Timbaland being.
Memphis is in Tennessee. Missy and Timberland are from Virginia. Comparable,
Mhm,
close. So they're pulling this sample
mhm.
not too far from home.
Right.
Now, here's, Missy and Timberland get a lot of credit for being innovative.
Mhm.
This is probably their least innovative moment. This is Missy and Timberland actually playing the game and doing things that a Puff does. They're taking a sample from a
Mhm.
hit record. The Rain was a hit for Ann Peebles. I think it might have been her biggest hit. It went to number 6 on the R&B charts.
Okay.
Now, usually when Timberland samples and Missy plays, they usually go for the obscure.
Right.
This is not the obscure. This is the in your face. Like we're taking this and we're freaking this and we're updating it.
Mhm.
So this is what I like to call classic first single from mid 90s make you money rap.
Okay.
So the innovation that people may think that they hear from this record, no. The innovation is coming from Missy. It's not coming from the way the track is put together. If you go listen to the beat, like this is probably one of Timbaland's most recognizable beats. It's one of his easiest pull off. Like the original beat they had, People's Rain, is the shit, Andrew. It sounds like something. It sounds like some of Al Green's best stuff musically.
Yeah. One of the things I wrote was like the beat sounds both futuristic and like it's coming from like P-Funk boots. You go like it's coming from that kind of
Yeah.
funk era.
Yeah.
Like as one of the things that I wrote down too is one of the things that separates this beat from me, and we have to come back to Missy Elliott too, because Missy Elliott is one of my very favorite people. Just as a human being, is one of my very favorite people, as an artist. But what separates this beat for this song from me is that most hip hop beats that I'm familiar with feel driven by the drums, and this one feels driven by the bass line more than the drums.
That's where Timbaland's different. That's what I mean about him being innovative. A lot of the time, like Timbaland is probably the only producer that is great with drums that don't need drums from the hip hop R&B world. It's like Timbaland don't need drums to be the main thing about the beat to make the beat great. So when you're feeling like this is strings oriented, it's like, no, it is. And this is where he is brilliant and innovative though, because it's like that's where their stuff sounds different. Like sound wise, imagine it being 1997 and all you're getting is boom boom back still. And then he takes something like this and loops it. Most people hadn't heard this. And when I mean this song was big, this was a top 40 song too on Billboard charts. So it's number 6 on the R&B charts. It's top 40 on the Billboard charts too. I think it reached like 38 or 37. So it's people are playing this record.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, and to just go to Missy briefly and right quick, what I love about this record is that this record for me has always been like this record coupled with the video is like probably one of hip hop's most psychedelic, like drug induced songs that doesn't get talked about. Like nobody talks about like the drug induced side of this song. And I mean that in like kind of like a positive classic rock and roll kind of way. Because Missy tells you from the jump, the state of mind that she's in. When the rain hits my window, I take me some endo. So she's letting you know, no.
This is not hidden information, right? And this is
like, no, we're firing it up. And then me and Timbaland. So she like, no, me and Timbaland, when it rains, no, we rolling that shit, we lighting that shit, we're smoking it, we're about to make some fly shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We so tight that you get our styles tangled.
That's true. It's even when we talk about them in the wider world, like you talk about the two of them together, like
hard to talk about the other one, even when they get separated. It's like, well, Timberland did this such for such and such. I feel like it's not better than the shit he did for Missy.
No. Because Missy is also a top level artist too. Like she's not just taking something from him and what like she is a top level person all by like, and she's an original too.
I think she's a better songwriter than he is producer, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah,
that's saying
she's a special artist for
She's
sure.
a special artist. She's a one of one artist that I think black music has ever seen,
Hmm.
because as a songwriter, singer, rapper,
Yeah.
innovator, I don't have anybody who came before her to compare her to, male or female. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't have a comp before her, and there really hasn't been anybody since her either.
Yeah.
You know, like, because here's the thing, and this is what I mean. Like, what she's doing is like, she has the her swag and her personality is old dirty bastard slick Rick level,
Hmm.
where she's infectious and charismatic, because on some quote unquote rap shit, well,
Hmm.
she doesn't like measure up. But there's something about Missy. There's something about how she forms the words. There's something about the way she connected the visual aid to the words. This is what I mean about it psychedelic. The second verse goes, beep, beep, who got the keys to the Jeep? Vroom. But if you're watching the video and you see
You're driving in the Jeep, right?
and then you see them in the Jeep, it's like, oh, these motherfuckers are trippy and they're having a blast. And you're bought in. Like,
Yeah.
even if you're like a quote unquote traditional hip hop head like I am, it's hard to hear something like The Rain and not buy in. It's like, well, that's black music. It's like they're making it funky. They're kind of updating it.
Hmm.
They've added a couple of funky chords and bass lines behind it. And she's got style. She's got slick Rick, old dirty bastard level style. It's just coming in a female format. So it's kind of off putting and offsetting the first time. And she was a little heavier set back then too. So it's like you got this big black girl with big lips and bright ideas and a big mind, this funky ass chords and strings and this bass line. It's big, Andrew. It's all big. They're doing it real big and they know it. That's what I mean. It's like, this isn't one of their obscure creative things. It's like, no. We're about to do this shit real big for her, because she's been around for a few years. A lot of people don't know. Missy was in a group called Mista.
Hmm.
Actually had a record deal, like put out a video and everything that Missy was writing for. If you're from North Carolina like I am, Jodeci,
Yeah.
yeah, Missy and Timberland and Genuine and Magoo were part of Devontae's Basement crew.
Okay.
So she was writing up under writing up under Devontae, and Timberland was making beats up under Dalvin and Devontae. So it's like they've been around when The Rain is coming out. She's already been part of a group. She's already been working behind the scenes and underground with Jodeci, who, quite frankly, not because I'm from Charlotte and not because they knew my family, well, they're the best damn R&B group of the 90s. And she's working right up under them, and so is Timberland. So they've already paid their dues. And that's what I mean about it. It's like, no. They came to do it real big. They've kind of already been waiting for their turn.
Yeah.
You know? And so this is their shot. And so, like, they're swinging for the fences. And so this is the swing. Yeah, this is what I mean. They're swinging for the fences. They're swinging for the fences behind the scene. The bag in the video, where Missy's in the black with the big glasses and she's doing like this, that's a real garbage bag, Andrew. They went to a gas station and wrapped her in it and filled it up with air and rolled her down the fucking street. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's next level commitment to your craft.
Yeah, it is.
That's why it's like, oh no, I don't need you to rap your ass off. How many rappers do you think? Because keep in mind, she's already making songwriting money. He's already making beat money. They're not super rich, but they're not like poor. Hype Williams is doing this video.
Yeah.
How many artists do you know, especially a woman who's already a little more heavy set, are going to make themselves bigger on camera?
And she's like, fuck all y'all. Yeah.
Fuck all of y'all. Like, make me bigger. Blow this bag up.
And blacker too, while we're at it.
Blacker glasses, blacker lips. Roll my ass down the street to get to the video set. That's different level creativity, innovation, artistic license, and a big fuck you to all the archetypes about women in the industry. Yeah. So all of that. So she's tearing shit down on this video, physically and visually.
Yeah.
It's connected. And that's what I mean. There's been nobody like her. The visual aid is so important. She came around at the perfect time when the music video and rap and R&B was super big. And she is the one. Like, her videos are the videos that I remember from that time. So
one of the things The top note that I wrote on there, and picking up on what you were saying, um, the song is inseparable from two things for me. The Hype Williams video is one of them. Like that is like that visual iconography. The black bag particularly is one of those things that's indelibly stuck with my head in my head with Missy
in my
Elliott.
head forever. Yep,
Um,
it's in my head
but,
forever.
but also this book, Hip Hop and Other Things, Chase Serrano's book. Like the first essay that he writes in here is about Supa Dupa Fly. Like the very first one is, among other things, he calls her one of the 10 best rap artists of all time. But
I don't call her a rap artist.
but I want to quote him exactly. So if those of you who have not read this book, you should read this book because it's amazing. So he says greatest rappers ever, I believe is the direct quote. But the paragraph that comes from is saying much of what you're saying too. He says it's fun to think about Missy Elliott's music in a spiritual sense or a cosmic sense or a philosophical sense. It's perfect for that exact thing because she's the only person who has ever lived who can do the things she does in the way that she does them. You play Missy Elliott's song and you hear the way she raps and the things she says and the manner in which she says them, and you combine that together with the beat, and there you go. It's a one-of-one situation. That's almost a direct quote of what you said. It's also fun, though, to think about Missy Elliott in a very straightforward or pragmatic sense or a direct sense. And it's fun to do it for that same exact reason. Missy Elliott makes music that only Missy Elliott can make. It's the single best argument to make for why she's one of the 10 greatest rappers ever, and incidentally, why she's one of his 5 favorite rappers ever. So, like, I can't separate having read that from the song now.
Right. Her one of oneness, though, is why I don't call her a rapper. Like, she is, to just say that she is a rapper, I think kind of contrives what she brings to the table.
Yeah, she has so much more than just that, but she does that too, though.
No, she has that too. That's in the bag. That's why I really look, more than anybody from the hip hop time, I look at her as a more old school traditional artist in terms of my respect level, because it's like, no, she can write, she can sing, she can rap. And not to be funny, even the beats that Timbaland does with her is different, and that's her input.
Yep, exactly.
So
you can pick out. I mean, even I can pick out a Timbaland beat. Like I can hear that. Like there's like a thing to it. But the stuff, like you said, the stuff that he does for Missy Elliott is not the same as the stuff he does for other people.
Boys, she's a bitch. Lick shots. Like no. Those beats are different. Even for him, those beats are different. And so she creatively is a genius to me. And I don't use the word genius often.
No. But it applies to her, absolutely, without question.
But it applies to her. I don't really call rappers geniuses, Andrew. I don't know if you know that.
I haven't heard you say that about.
Because I don't. I find what Biggie did on the mic the closest thing to genius that we could call a rapper doing, just in terms of mixing the dark wit with the humor, with the actual musicality. But he had a lot of things in his favor. He's from Brooklyn. He had Puff behind him. He's got that gargantuan like voice that everybody can recognize. Yeah. So a lot of his genius is he's just born with it and kind of fell into the situation.
Right.
Like, no, her genius is like skill, like truly skilled and creative and innovative. She blew her fucking self up in a trash bag. I'm gonna say this again. Think about that. You know what I mean? That's cheap and like think about how many broke artists would never do that.
Put on a pair of sunglasses in a trash bag. Yeah, sure.
They got the sunglasses from the gas station, Andrew. They're not even like expensive sunglasses. That's what I'm saying. When they rolled her up to the gas station, she picked up the glasses. It was like on that rack, I believe they said.
Yep, I know.
What like, so it's like, yeah, you know, $2 for air, $7 for sunglasses. Best video ever.
Yeah. She actually tells a story in the beginning of that essay about how she did a verse for, I don't remember what, or it might have been the group that she was in, but she did a verse for one of them and they wouldn't put her in the video because of how she looked. And there was like a light-skinned girl like lip syncing her words to it. And so he's connected actually in the essay. He connects that with the trash bag particularly, like, so bigger and blacker and more you, like it's that kind of like, if you don't like me now, if you didn't like me then, don't.
No, The rain is low key a big payback. She's even like the third verse. I sit on hills like Loren. She's making herself bigger than she is in the video from the angle. She's sitting like,
yep.
But
It's coming up from the bottom. Yep.
Yeah, she's doing it on. Fuck you.
And she's dressed like the hill too, so she's dressed in green in that part, right? Too,
Yeah.
like she's part of the hill.
She's she tore so much shit down with this song. Well, you couldn't say anything about it. You couldn't say you're gonna call her big now. She made herself bigger for the song.
So you can kiss my ass.
Bigger. Timberland made the beat bet. You get what I'm saying? It's like, no, that's what I mean. Their point was to do it big and to say fuck you. Like, this is how we do. And you really never heard too much about people criticizing her after this. So it was like, if anything, everybody wanted to work with her after that. It's like, ooh, what's this saying?
Yeah. You can get me some of that. Like, that's,
yeah. I mean,
but nobody can do Missy Elliott. Like, that's like,
and she ran radio for a few years. Not Timberland, she did, because it's like, no, he didn't always do the beat, but she was writing for everybody.
And she had Get Your Freak On, and like, I mean, all of that stuff were huge records.
That's what I mean. But she's also doing stuff like Make It Hot for Nicole Ray. She's doing stuff for Tweet, who's an artist out of Virginia. She's doing Can We Get Kinky Tonight for SWV. She's everywhere. She's doing Cold Rock a Party with Missy with MC Light.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like all
these people are making cameos in that video too. Like, you see them all popping up in the video.
702. She did work for 702. They're a band out of Las Vegas, Nevada, obviously. 702. Yeah. What I mean, she's all over. Like, this is what I mean. Andrew, she wrote One in a Million for Aaliyah. You know, like, not just the record, album.
Wow.
Yeah, like, she's literally like the intro to One in a Million. That's Missy that you hear. Creeping through the fog, that y'all. AALIY. A lot of people think that that's Aaliyah singing that. That's Missy.
Missy can do everything.
Missy can do everything. Yeah.
There's something, even in that thing you're saying, there's something Southern playlistic a little bit. Like, there's that kind of, I mean, it's a Southern thing too, I guess. I mean, there's something funky, like it's based on the same kind of funk mess. Maybe I'm misrepresenting that, but that connects in my head anyway. Like that grungy, funky, dirty basement crew, like that kind of stuff, Dungeon Family stuff.
So let me tell you what Dungeon Family has in common with it's kind of funny. You know, they're called the Dungeon Family. I believe Missy's crew that was up under Devontae is called the Basement Crew or something like that. But both teams use live instrumentation.
You can hear that in those songs for sure.
Oh, and so some of the funk that you're hearing is like,
somebody actually standing there on the bass doing the.
Somebody standing there on the bass playing it. So let's go back to what the Glove was talking about when I was interviewing him. He's like, we didn't sample that bass line for Deep Cover.
Somebody
went and bought the Clevenger. Did you hear when he said that?
Yeah, I did. That's one of my favorite parts of the thing. It's like, there's a shop across the street. Just go get the bass. And I love those stories. Like, I think he's talking about the Isleys. Don't hold me to that. But there was somebody, he said, they were talking about like not being able to afford the sample for something. No, just go get the guy and get him here to play it. Then
no, he was talking about Ernie Isley, whose daughter coincidentally, Ernie Isley's daughter, Alex, is a wonderful R&B artist and made one of R&B's best projects last year. He's talking about Ernie Isley, and pretty much this is why I love that comment, not the sidebar. He's letting you know, it's like, no, we can just go pay Ernie 5-10 G's because the record business been fucking over the Isleys for decades now.
Right. Which is sad, but like, I mean, wouldn't you rather have Ernie Isley playing wouldn't you rather have him actually there?
Right. I mean, not to be funny, Glove was kind of kicking. It's like, man, that nigga Ernie's like 2 blocks up for us in LA. Let's go pick this motherfucker up and get him. It's like, and this is what I mean. There's something pro-black about that I want to mention, Andrew, too, because that was Glove's way of saying it. It's like, we not about to go pay no record company for no sample.
Pay him.
When we know that this black man is right up the street from us, and we know how this music business goes, but not just paying black artists, but just paying artists in general. Sometimes it just seems like a lot of things in America, it seems to be worse for the black artists, but
Yeah.
it's not like white artists.
It's not good for anybody, but it's
right.
worse.
White artists get raped and pillaged too. It just doesn't seem to be with the same veracity or to the same
Especially
degree.
ones from the Isley Brothers generation, right?
Especially the Isley brothers.
Yeah, particularly them, yes. So if you can actually put some money directly in his pocket, you do that.
Yes. But the whole buying the Clevenger to play the fucking bass to beat the cover, I'm like, I mean, not to be funny, you are some fucking rap dudes from LA. It's 1990. What the fuck do you know about a Clevenger and a bass line is probably what people are thinking. Apparently a whole fucking
a lot you do. Yes.
Right. So what Missy and Timberland do and what the Dungeon family do and what Glove do and stylistically think about the three camps that we're talking about. Think about how those camps music sounds like musically.
Yeah.
The sound of it. It holds and it stays because it's real music being played.
Yep.
And
it sounds modern too. Like you can play it on the radio now and it would still sound. And that's one of those Burt Bacharach things too. Actually, you could tie that in there too. Like and Quincy Jones and all of those things. Like you could play Off the Wall and Thriller in the club today and people would be dancing, like, right? Like, so they're timeless. They're timeless. And I mean, the Chronic songs are that way. The Doggy Style songs are that way. The like Missy's like this Supa Dupa, like that song, you can play it now and people are still like.
I still play Beat Me 911 off Supa Dupa Fly. It's one of my favorite Missy songs. It came out when we were 15, 16 years old, Andrew. It was like 10th grade for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, her album came out towards the end of our 10th grade year of high school.
Yeah, I think it was 1997 is what it says.
Yeah, so it's like March of 97 or something like that. Like our school year is about to end. I can remember, I forget who it was. Somebody we had classes with. I feel like it was one of those advanced classes. Might have been Brathwaite or something. Somebody had the album and let me hold it. And like I listened to it and gave it back to him at the end of the day. I was like, man, I've never heard no shit like this before.
No, it's something not like anything else.
I didn't even know how to qualify it. I was just like, I just don't even know what to say. It's just like, you know.
And that's what we've been talking about this whole episode. Like, it's stuff that like gets you, but it's not something that you necessarily put words to, but you know it's different and you know it moves you. I guess.
Like it wasn't complicated. Ooh, sock it to me like you want to. Ooh, I can take it like a pro. You don't know. It's just funky as hell. I was like I don't know why I like it. It's just good. It's just really good. Yeah.
And the way she's doing those lines is like you would hear in George Clinton's song. Like you hear it's the cadence of speech and the rhythm of how she's laying the lyrics down is comes from that world.
She consistently hears the melody different than that person. Like if you were to put anybody else on the same beat, they wouldn't come up with that melody. Exactly. That's what I mean. She's a one of one. You could put certain rappers from certain demographics or from certain time periods on certain records, and the output would be what I would call comparable. Or like if I were to put Big Daddy Kane and KRS-One on a record today, I think the output would be comparable in terms of what you would hear in terms of the execution and full of lyricism and what you would come to expect from the artist. Well, her biggest pull-off might be it's like, well, you don't know what the fuck she's about to do. Right. And you don't know anybody else that can come close to pulling it off. And so it makes her even more special because it's like, no, I don't have anybody that can come do this. It's like, I'm a big Cool G Rap fan, but I have Prodigy from Mobb Deep. You get what I'm saying? Right. I have guys that like do what you do comparably. Some would say better. It's like, no. We don't have anybody comparable for her. For like the old school rock fans, it's like, well, you have Nas and you have Black Thought. You know, for somebody that's like a Lil Kim fan, you have Nicki Minaj. Right. You feel me?
Similar-ish, yeah.
Yeah, you have similarities of the tropes that go across like hip hop and R&B music. It's like you don't have any comps for Missy. I'm gonna go back to the whole house in the neighborhood thing. When you're buying or selling a house, I know this because I used to be a mortgage loan originator. Well, you know, your house goes based on the three comps in your area. Right. You can't find three comps for her, which makes her priceless.
One. You can find
one.
Right.
So she's priceless.
Right.
Right, because it's like that's like having a $10 million house in a neighborhood where all the other houses are $500,000. It's like, well, there ain't no comp to this $10 million estate that we have sitting right here. So it looks like you're stuck. $10 million estate. And we're like, well, okay.
I'm good with that.
Good. So that's just who she is in larger terms. And so it's like, I don't know if rapper applies because of that. You know, I think to call her a rapper is to put her in a box, and she's making it very, very clear from the start of her solo career with The Rain, ain't no box for me.
And there's not.
You can put me in a garbage bag, or you can put me on a hill. I'm a star. Yeah, big star. So, and deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame.
All of those things. Yes, absolutely.
Like, deserves to be in every Hall of Fame. That's what I mean. We have some people that don't deserve to be in every Hall of Fame, quite frankly. It's like, no. She deserves to be in the Songwriters, Rock and Roll, and Hip Hop Hall of Fame. Boom, boom, bang.
Yep. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, I believe all the same things about her that you do. Like she's an icon, and she's one of the greatest that's ever done it.
Yeah. I have a personal story about her that my ex shared, because I have an ex who actually used to date the Brat. And yeah, Missy's also fun to be with behind the scenes.
She seems like she would just be an interesting person to hang out with and to talk to and to like just.
From what I was told secondhand, she's really fun and really cool people to be around. So that always helps.
It helps, and it's always good to hear stories like that where the person, as they are presenting themselves publicly, is pretty similar to the person they are privately too. And like you see people, there's some people that are that come off as, you know, kind and nice in public, and then are kind of dicks behind the scenes or whatever. And it's nice to hear that she's like that everywhere. It's always disappointing to hear about people who are not as pleasant when you meet them face to face.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know it for certain, and I'll tell you, and I've told people this all the time. You know, I cover hip hop, and I cover the music, but these dudes and some of these females that I've met in the R&B and the rap industry, they're some of the worst people that you ever meet. I'm just saying that because it is what it is. They're awful people in person a lot of the time, but I've never heard that about her.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about her personally.
Well, that's saying a lot. Like, I'll tell you what, I love. My brothers used to do security down here for a lot of venues. They did security for Tupac one night. Tupac was a total asshole to my brothers. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. It's like, oh, no. I love his music, but firsthand from my brothers, he wasn't always the nicest guy to people.
Yeah. So it's another point in Missy's column for sure.
Check.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, thanks for making it to the end of this video. If you love this, check out this video right here. It's another one that where Coop and I are talking about how two songs go together that you wouldn't maybe think go together. So thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.